7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
It's now time for the Pony Cake Sports Podcast with your hosts, Josh Stevens, Tim Thompson, and Tom Schultz. Woo!
Ladies and gentlemen, we are back with another fantastic episode of Pony Cake Sports here in the Pony Cake Sports studio. This week we are going over must-starts and a little bit of a combination episode, temper your expectations, all in one, because we're going to have a trade deadline episode as well coming up here. 3 total episodes for you this week. As always, I'm joined by Josh Stevens and Tom Schultz, but I am hosting because Josh decided, hey, I don't want to do this anymore. Tim, you take your dumb ass behind the laptop. You figure it out, pal. And we are continuing our very special week with the OG, Michael Agent, in studio. Mike, how are you?
I'm good. Can I tell you guys a quick story?
Yeah, hopefully it's better than the last episode.
So I went to Jimmy John's today, and I saw my ex-girlfriend's mom. And you know how when you get like Jimmy John's, they ask you, do you want it Mike's way? Or not Jimmy John's, I'm sorry, Jersey Mike's.
This is a
Jersey
great
Mike's.
story. It's a great
Jersey
great
Mike's.
story.
Mike's way?
Should we start the episode over?
Do you want Mike's way? And I was like, yeah, I wanted Mike's way all over her. All I can remember is that bikini she wore that one time. And I was like, it's been like 10 years, and like I still wanted Mike's way on you. You know,
This
you know what I'm
episode
saying?
should
You know what I'm
start
saying?
with Jimmy John said, "Do you want it Mike's way?" And for some reason, none of that makes sense. Which is exactly why this is a special guest appearance by Michael Agent. Mike, glad to have you back.
At Michael R. Agent, you can never remember.
Like I said, this week we're doing the must-starts and temper your expectations all in one. We are Pony Cake Sports. Make sure to follow us on Facebook, Pony Cake Sports. Follow Josh on Twitter at Pony Cake Sports. Follow Tom at Pony_Keg_Tom. You can follow me at Fight Talk Tim. And you can follow Mike at Michael R. Agent. Gentlemen, we're doing must-starts first. And we're going to start at the quarterback position. It is a very interesting week. I feel like Patrick Mahomes may be the easy guy to play here, but you know what? Let's start with you guys. Who do you want to start guaranteed this week? Josh, you started.
All right, guys. Quarterback that you're going to start.
Oh, God damn it.
Quarterback you're going to start is going to be a quarterback you're going to be picking up off of waivers.
God damn it.
That is Ryan
God damn it.
Fitzmagic. And the reason why is the 3 games that he has started, complete games, all the way from the beginning to the end, 400 yards in each of those games. Fantastic numbers. Now, in week number 4, wasn't so great. Obviously, week number 5, it is what it is. Jameis Winston took over. Fitzmagic almost brought back the comeback of the century last week in week number 8. Fell short because that defense is trash. But you know what? Fitzmagic is a must-start for me at quarterback this week in week number 9 against the Carolina Panthers. And that defense has been playing pretty well, but still back and forth game.
Josh, I know this is the usual format, but week 4 he played against Chicago. That's a stellar defense. This week he's going against Carolina. I really like it. I just wanted to. I know I'm saying "goddamn" in the background a lot, but I really do actually like your pick.
Only thing I'm nervous about with Fitzmagic is who he's playing. Yeah. Carolina Panthers at home this season. They've given up 8.7 points to quarterbacks, 19.2, 14.1, and 17.5. So they've been pretty good against
and that number
has
been getting bigger and bigger.
Well, it went up and then
Next,
down.
26.
I hope it happens, but yeah, if he's on your waiver wire right now, and let's say you have a Mr. Andrew Luck, you need a quarterback, pick him up, start him. It's going to be okay.
How many teams are on by this week? 6, correct?
Yeah, the quarterbacks on bye this week are Andrew Luck, Andy Dalton, Blake Bortles, Eli Manning,
Carson
Wentz, and I believe Josh Rosen.
So 3 guys that were on rosters.
Yeah.
So you're probably going to have to go out and get somebody. Why not?
Well, if you were starting any of those people outside of maybe a Carson Wentz or Andrew Luck,
Andy Dalton.
I guess, yeah, Andy Dalton as well. So any of those 3 guys you could potentially be searching. But
if Andy Dalton's on your team, you got to back up.
Hopefully you weren't that dumb to be depending on that. Josh, I'll be honest, I do not like the pick. Is what it is, but I think Carolina at home, feel like that's a piss poor decision on your part. You're better than that. You're playing a home field advantage. Get off yourself. Mike, agent, I'm going with you next, pal. Who are you taking?
This is easy. Cam Newton.
Boom, you took the words out of my mouth, you sexy son of a bitch.
He's quietly having an MVP style season.
Easy there.
Quietly having MVP season. I mean, if you look at this guy, he has been putting up 2+ touchdowns in the past 6 weeks. He's got 200+ yards in the last 4 weeks, and he's been running stuff in. You can't go wrong against Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who can't stop anything. Fitzmagic, if he does score, if he doesn't get a 3 and out, he's going to score a touchdown in 12 seconds, which gives the ball back to Cam Newton. Win-win, baby. Can't lose.
Boom, boom, mother trucker.
Yeah, Cam Newton, his biggest issue in his whole career has just been his consistency. He's been able to finish as a top 5 quarterback while being super inconsistent. This year, he's been one of the most consistent quarterbacks out there. He's had 2 games under 20 points this season. He's got a 27, 29, 23, 25, 28. It's fantastic numbers, and especially playing a defense like the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Really don't know how they're going to come out, how they're going to take their quarterback getting benched yet again. No team has really been able to limit Cam Newton. Look what he did against the number 1 defense in the league last week, the Baltimore Ravens. I love Cam Newton this week.
Josh, do you have a pick?
Yeah, it was Fitzpatrick.
Oh, okay.
Dolphins.
I'm sorry, Tom.
Yeah, Josh went first, Tim, so I'd be next.
My apologies.
Could I go?
Go ahead, please.
If
you would.
My
Can you
number
go?
1 overall quarterback this week is Jared Goff.
God dang.
On DraftKings, only 6,000. That's right where you want your quarterback to be. It's an awesome matchup.
Son of a biscuit.
He's a must start in every format. I would start him over Patrick Mahomes this week if I had them both on my roster. You know, he's kind of had an up and down year this year. But when the Rams get in shootouts, it's Jared Goff who's scoring majority of the points. You look at the 3 times this year this team has really been tested against Minnesota, against the Rams, and against Green Bay. Jared Goff has went off. He's averaged 371 yards and 3.6 touchdowns in those games. Fantastic QB1 numbers right there. And you have to expect that the Saints are going to put up points in this game, which means the Rams are going to have to respond and put points on the board as well. We saw last year when the Saints played the Rams in the playoffs, their number 1 goal, take Todd Gurley out of the game. I think they're going to try to do that yet again this week, so they're going to have to rely on Jared Goff. Cooper Kupp is back this week. Woo! It's going to be money. He's a lock for every daily type fantasy, every redraft league. Start him up this week.
Tom, you SOB. That's who I was going to go with. My point that I was going to talk about this team was the only time that Saints defense has had success against quarterback this year, Eli Manning, Alex Smith, and Tyrod Taylor. Outside of that, 24 points or more, which includes a 29.5 performance by Joe Flacco, a 43.9 performance by Matt Ryan, and a 46.5 performance by Joshua's guy, one Ryan Fitzmagic. I like what the Saints have been doing on defense, but this year they have not been able to stop big-time quarterbacks. I love your choice, Tom.
Thank you.
You guys have nothing to say to this? I'll just go into my decision then.
Oh,
my pick, my third choice now, is going to be one Aaron Rodgers against the New England Patriots. Listen, I feel like this is going to be a game for the ages, back and forth, fun, Sunday night football, Brady versus Rodgers, tons of points on the board, 45-42 type of ball game. Aaron Rodgers throws it all over the place and throws for 4 touchdowns over 400 yards. Big game for Aaron Rodgers.
I would absolutely love something like that. The Patriots have given up 4 touchdowns to a quarterback twice this year. Not 400 yards yet, but close. The one game they had Blake Bortles threw 376 against them for 4 touchdowns. So it's not completely impossible when Jacksonville can do it against this team. Patriots are kind of in flux, and the Packers can absolutely take advantage of that. It's in Foxborough, so who knows? But I really do like this. but I've
Shocking the
I've also got
Packers
a Green
fan.
Bay. I've
Like-
also got a Green Bay boner.
Yeah.
So you know.
Shocking the Packers fan likes me picking Aaron Rodgers.
The only thing I'm worried about with Rodgers is, are the Packers going to roll into Foxborough and be like, we're going to run the football down your throat. We're going to try to play keep away, try to keep this a low-scoring game like they just tried to do against the Los Angeles Rams. I really thought last week Rodgers was going to have a field day with that team, put up under 300 yards, only one touchdown, relied more on that running game. And we've seen that running game be more successful when they're giving Aaron Jones more touches. And I think everything's pointing to that direction. That's my only really qualm with it. But I really think if you have Rodgers in like a redraft league, you have to start him. I'm not touching him in daily leagues, though.
I would ask Josh his opinion on what I just said, but he is currently browsing Grindr, not paying attention at all to what I am saying. So we're going
What's
to move
Grindr,
on
Tim?
to temper your expectations. Go ahead and Google it, everyone. You can find out for yourself. Temper your expectations. I'm going to start first since I had 3 people taken away from me. I am going to start with one Ben Roethlisberger in Baltimore against a stout defense, division rival. I do not like what his potential is there. Baltimore's defense has statistically been one of the best. I feel like they're going to shut down James Conner, focus on Ben Roethlisberger, and any success that they find is going to be with one Juju Smith-Schuster, but I don't think it's going to be enough here. And Big Ben being ranked as a top 12 quarterback, I think he finishes outside of that this week in Baltimore.
Are we doing it snake style, too?
You can, do whatever you want.
So
I agree with your statement, though. I think it's going to be a low-scoring, kind of punch-him-in-the-face type game. Ravens are going to try to run the football, try to impose their will. That's how they win football games. I don't think they're going to win in a shootout against Pittsburgh. So I get where you're coming from.
yeah, Baltimore already played Pittsburgh once, and if you look at that game, Ben Roethlisberger only scored 17 points.
That was
So-
at home as well.
Yep. So away game, you got a really good defense. Absolutely agree with that pick.
Great defense. Don't flip me off.
Who's next?
I'll go. My temper your expectations going to be Matt Ryan of the Atlanta Falcons. 5,700 on DraftKings right now. On the road, outdoors, Matt Ryan and this Atlanta Falcons offense has struggled. Look what they did against Philadelphia Eagles week 1. Look what they did against Pittsburgh, both times under 15 fantasy points. They're playing a Redskins team who tries to dominate time of possession, who tries to run the football, and they're going to run the football 40-plus times if they get the opportunity. I think they're going to be able to do that, especially with the way Alex Smith is captain checkdown. They're going to have a lot of long drives in this football game. If the Falcons want to get this W and want to put up a lot of points, they're going to have to be extremely efficient. I don't think they're going to be able to do that in this football game, and I think he scores under 20 points this week.
My guy is Tim's gonna make fun of me.
Well,
so hard.
do you want to comment at all about Tom's pick?
No,
for
I
Matt
think
Ryan?
no. When Tom says something, it's like to the detail where you can't add to it. What do you want me to say, Tim? Something that he hasn't already said because he said it all.
You want to talk about the addition of Clinton Dix to that Washington defense and what that might do to one Matt Ryan?
Green Bay let go of because he sucks.
God.
I'm just joking. No,
You're
this
wearing his jersey.
I only get one more day out of it.
And then he burns it.
Yeah.
No, I won't go into that. That's a side story.
Can
But
you make a rap about him today and like send it to him on Twitter?
it'd just be me crying in the shower.
Do you really want to?
No, Tom nailed it all. I'm sorry, I skipped ahead. I was kind of drinking.
Josh, do you have
daydreaming.
anything to add to that? No.
No,
All right, Mike, go ahead with yours.
Tim's gonna make fun of me here, but it's gonna be Mitchell Trubisky. Right now, he's ranked as a 10th top quarterback for points this week. He's going against a tough Buffalo defense. We talked about it earlier. It's at Buffalo as well. Mitchell Trubisky has put up 22-plus points in the last 4 games. His first 3 games of the season weren't all that great, and he's been on fire since then as far as fantasy points. But I think Buffalo is going to be able to hold that running game and hold the wide receivers. Now, Buffalo's also not going to be able to score any points, so keep that in mind when you're talking about this game. It might be a 6-9 nothing burger, and for the guy that's ranked number 10 right now overall, I could see dropping outside of the top 12.
Yeah,
Mike,
Actually, I had Mitchell Trubisky as well. There's going to be people that are hurting for bye week, and Mitchell Trubisky has proven to be a starting quarterback the last couple of weeks. 13 touchdowns in the last 4 games that he has played. Obviously, 6 touchdowns in that one game that he had. But at the same time, that is still a monstrous amount of fantasy points. 43-something points in one game, 26 points, a 20-something other point game. Those are some big point numbers.
For a quarterback,
For a quarterback, yeah. And they're playing a Buffalo Bills team that is number 1 against the quarterback.
It is very, very simple, Mike. I'm not going to make fun of you. I'm actually shocked that you said something intelligent for a change. Listen, Kirk Cousins, Aaron Rodgers, Deshaun Watson, and what's his name, Tom Brady. Those 4 have combined for only 3 touchdowns. None of them had over 18 points in fantasy. I am not whatsoever going to doubt you. This is a fantastic pick. I hate Mitchell Trubisky, so I'm not going to mock you. This is a perfect choice. Trubisky's been hot. Not this week. Not in Buffalo. Those butthole fingering, table smashing SOBs find a way to shut down some quarterbacks.
See the guy get arrested for throwing a dildo on the field?
Yeah.
They do it every game. It's great.
No.
Every Patriot.
No.
Got arrested.
Yeah.
3 dildos thrown on the field Monday night.
I love like all the home videos of the people just laughing. Like, look, he doesn't want to touch it. He's kicking it. Oh, he missed it. It's so funny.
My quarterback is going to be Russell Wilson. He's facing the Chargers. Chargers are coming off of a bye. Russell Wilson has been playing a lot better as of late, but the Chargers the last 3 games have only given up 1 passing touchdown each of those games, and none of those games have broken past 300 yards in the passing game. You also have to remember that the Seahawks are still hurt at wide receiver, even though they have Doug Baldwin and they have emerging young wide receiver Mr. Moore. That is still not a very good offense regardless.
Max Moore?
No, not Max Moore.
All right.
This guy runs the correct way on a football field. But yeah, I think the Chargers coming off of their bye week, they're going to do enough to kind of bring down Russell Wilson back to earth from the tear that he's been on the last couple of weeks.
Wilson's been playing very good football lately, but they really haven't been putting too much out there for him to do. He's throwing like 20 to 24 passing attempts a game, and it's kind of amazing that he's had 3 touchdowns in 3 touchdowns in the last 3 weeks. I just don't expect him to be able to continue to do this. I think this could be a low-scoring game, which means they're going to be running the football a lot, which means his passing attempts will probably be low once again. He's not just going to throw 20 passing attempts a game and have 3 touchdowns every week. It's bound to stop.
Yeah, if you look at their last 4 games, they've had 150 rushing yards on the ground in each of those 4 games, and that's something I can absolutely see them trying to continue here. Their team is built on they just dropped Brandon Marshall. Their wide receivers are kind of in flux, and nobody knows what's really going on. Russell Wilson is going to have to scramble. Chris Carson is having a better and better year as time goes on, and that's a great pick. I love it.
I don't love it, but I like it as a temper your expectations. I agree with that 100%, Joshua.
Thanks.
No problem, bro. We're going to start with Michael Agent because he's raising his hand, putting his beer on his head. He's hot and bothered.
Snake, though.
To start, nope, too bad. With the running backs of.
I actually I just wanted to give.
Way to go, Tim.
Yeah, I was trying to tell you. I just wanted to talk real quick by putting the beer above my head. But someone if that I just realized only has an own percentage of 29% is Dak Prescott. They just got themselves a good wide receiver. Someone on the waiver.
What's
Great
his name?
wide receiver.
If they seriously, if he's on your waiver and you got an empty spot, somebody might really want to think about picking up. He might not have he's playing Tennessee this week, so maybe not a great week, but something that you could honestly stash and expect a little bit more out of them, adding some offensive weapons.
Fair enough. I actually appreciate that little comment, Mike. I was ready to trash you for being an idiot and interrupting my movement to the running back position, but very good, sir. Now let's move on to running back. Who is your choice to start? Josh, you start.
My running back that I have is Mr. James White from
Son
the
of a
New England
bitch.
Patriots. He is facing the Green Bay Packers this week, and obviously all the talk right now is between the quarterbacks. And I think James White is going to do enough to squeak in there and keep putting up the points that he's been putting up. You look at what Todd Gurley did with his numbers against the Green Bay Packers. Obviously, they're not the same running back. Todd Gurley had 25 rushes for 114 yards, but the number that I look at that's more important is the 6 receptions, 81 yards, and a touchdown, because that is
One catch was bullshit. He was out.
Because that is what it was, a catch, but because that's what James White does. He catches the ball, and he catches the ball very well and moves in open space. So I'm going with James White as my must start for this week.
Yeah, that's great. Fucking hate you. No, I didn't mean to come off like that. It's actually really good.
Great.
It's actually a really good pick. Because it's going to come down to James White versus Blake Martinez, and can Blake Martinez, the Green Bay's middle linebacker, keep up with him? And that's a big no. No. Look for James White to have not many rushing yards, but passing and reception, especially if you're PPR, great.
This might go down as the worst episode in Pony Keg Sports
This is
history.
fun.
And we've had a lot of bad episodes. Tom, what do you have?
Every
any...
time I come on the show, I hear that.
No. It's not you. Do you have any additional thoughts here, Tom?
I love it. He's a must start right now.
For sure.
He's pretty much identical to like Alvin Kamara and how Kamara's been used the last 2 years with the Saints. That's what James White is giving you. Not as many rushing attempts, but yeah, it's taken a few years, but the Patriots are finally using him the correct way, which it's good to see. And it's crazy that he's the 5th ranked running back right now.
Let's keep it going here. We're going to move to Michael.
My must start is Chris Carson, the Seattle Seahawks. Absolutely love what they're doing with him. They're giving him the rock. He's had 14 to 25
Give me
to
the
32 touches a game. They clearly are giving him. If you just watch his highlights, you can see the way he side cuts. It's absolutely amazing. The guy has put up some seriously good fantasy points. And if you look at last week against Tennessee Titans, week 7, because they had a bye last week, they put up 32 points to basically Deion Lewis. Seattle Seahawks want to run the ball. That's something they are clearly focusing on, and the Chargers are willing to let people do it on them. So my must start is Chris Carson.
I do not like that pick at all. Not trying to trash you, Mike. I just do not like it. I think the Seahawks are... they're a team that they try things early, and when it doesn't work, they immediately steer away from it. And with someone like Russell Wilson, they have no problem just throwing the load on his shoulders very quickly. So while I do think he's going to be the lead dog for them, I don't see it working out in his favor.
I would normally absolutely agree with you. And the only reason I counter you is week 3 against the Dallas Cowboys. Chris Carson had 102 yards. That was on 32 carries. They let that kid run and run and run. Now, the game dictates, the score dictates what's going to happen here.
Sure.
But if Seattle can keep it close, they're going to give Chris Carson the ball all day just to run the clock down.
For me, primarily playing like PPR leagues, I'm just not a big Chris Carson fan because he doesn't catch the football. He doesn't get many targets.
True.
That's the one issue with him. But if you're in a standard league, maybe a point per carry league, there are some of those out there. Carson, he is the lead dog right now in Seattle. I did not think that was going to happen with them selecting Rashad Penny in the first round. But right now, Carson, 25 carries last week. That game against Dallas, like Mike brought up, 32 carries. He's got that potential, but he's more touchdown dependent that I like. Doesn't have that safe floor that a lot of running backs have that catch the football. That's the only reason I'm down on him a little bit.
Tom, Josh, anything?
I don't mind the pick, Mike. I think it's fine because I think Russell Wilson's going to have kind of a downer game, so I think they're going to try to run the ball a little bit.
Josh says vegetable lasagna. Fair enough. Tom, I'll let you go.
I'm going to go a little value shopping right here for daily. I'm going to go with Mr. Latavius Murray, only 5,100 on DraftKings. So for him to hit value, he'd have to score about 15 points in a PPR league. That's extremely doable. Last 3 weeks for Latavius, he scored over 20 points each week. And he's going facing the Lions, who've given up over 20 fantasy points per week, every week in fantasy football. So I see that trend to continue. He's the clear lead dog right now. I do not think Delvin Cook will be playing at all. I think Latavius will have over 20 touches this week. If that happens, I think he finds the end zone. We saw some good usage last week catching the football, which hasn't been a big strong point for him, but I think he had 4 catches. I think that continues as well. give me Latavius Murray at that price tag. It's a solid RB2.
Yeah, Latavius Murray proved he was fantasy
Viable.
viable. Thank you. Last year, and when you look at what the Detroit Lions have given up this year, last week against the Seahawks, 37 total attempts for 139 yards. Miami, who's basically got nobody, was 16 for 101. And there's only 2 games they have this year where it's under 120 yards. That's not good. So,
That's not
Plain
good
and
football.
simple, not good.
so look for Murray to continue the trend of being absolutely fantasy viable and being able to put some really good points on your board.
Anything to add, Joshua?
No, Mike said it all. It's not good.
Fair enough. Yeah, I'm indifferent on that, to be honest. Mine, I think it's fairly obvious. I'm going with
Todd Gurley.
a guy that I no. I'm going with the guy who
Kareem Hunt.
who I think is going to take a switch out and whip that defense into shape. I'm going with one Adrian Peterson.
Oh, okay.
Listen, the Atlanta Falcons have been atrocious against the run. This is a team who's given up at least 22 points to running backs through their 7 weeks that they've played, and 7 touchdowns on average as well. So 7 touchdowns throughout their 7 games. It's a touchdown a game, and Adrian Peterson's been hot. So I think that the Redskins, they have a pretty obvious plan. It's Alex Smith checking down, and Adrian Peterson run the football. So give me one Adrian Peterson finding a way to put up just average to above average numbers. I think this is a no-brainer.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. If you look what the Atlanta Falcons have given up, every game has been 22 plus points a game for running backs as a total. So coming off the bye, maybe they might have a little bit more, but Washington is going to be able to completely stop the Atlanta, and they're going to be able to run the ball. And last week proved Adrian Peterson can still run the ball. They're going to give it to him, run the guy to the ground. You're not going to have him next year. He's not going to be in the league next year because his hamstrings are going to be shit. But
There's one way to say it. I like it.
but absolutely a great pick. I love it.
His hamstring. I've never heard on
You
this.
could have said Darius, guys. You could have said anything else.
I've never heard on this show someone go after a player's hamstrings and that's been even, that guy's Achilles are shit next year. My goddamn, I'm so happy you're back.
I totally get it. The way this game, I'm picturing it to go the way I envision it. It should be a whole lot of AP all day. It amazes me that he's still playing at this level. He's still getting over 20 touches a game. Last 3 weeks, over 125 scrimmage yards each game. Just imagine Darius Geis on the Redskins right now. God! He'd be eating souls. He'd be Thanos with all the gems. Oh,
Snapping it.
everyone would be dead.
Josh.
I got nothing.
We're gonna go snake style. I'm gonna start the temper your expectations.
That was
That
was great.
His hamstrings suck. That guy's glutes trash next year. My temper your expectations for running back. It's gonna be one Lamar Miller.
I was just looking at
Lamar Miller going up against Denver. Denver's, I know they haven't been great, but they still have some big time players. And Lamar Miller, he's been very, very good these last 2 weeks. 22, 18 attempts, over 100 yards in week 7, 133 yards in week 8, touchdown in both of those weeks. Just temper those expectations. Lamar Miller has a long history of being hot and cold. I'm gonna just bring him back down to earth. You look at before those big 2 weeks, 8.10 when he was out, 4.9. Just bring it back down to earth a little bit. Don't be surprised if you get a 8 or 9 point week out of one Lamar Miller.
Yeah, I seriously have his ceiling at 10 points this week. I think this game is going to be a shootout and not really rely on the running backs at all. That's about exactly what you just echoed there.
Yeah, I actually had Lamar Miller as one of my guys on my list, so I agree with you. I think they're facing a defense that has been playing pretty good last 2 weeks. Have not given up more than, I believe it was 70 yards the last 2 games rushing to running backs. So I do agree with that. We have to see Lamar Miller kind of come back down to earth. Also, the other thing is you got to remember that they're playing the Denver Broncos, and Denver just traded Demaryius Thomas to the Houston Texans. I think that they're going to try to air that ball out and show off their new weapon that they have.
Absolutely.
I agree.
Let's go to, I believe it's Tom now, if in terms of going snake drafts.
My next guy, he's going to be Tevin Coleman. He's pretty cheap on DraftKings, $4,800 right now. So to hit value, he'd have to be somewhere around that 15-point mark. It's something he's only done twice this season. You look what the Redskins have been able to do against running backs. They've been able to shut down their run game. They've been burned through the receiving end of running backs, and that's something that I thought Coleman would have been used a lot more this year, but he's only had 4 receptions once this year. He's had 3 another time, every other game under 2 or lower. So I don't think he's going to be able to do a lot of damage receiving the football. Ito Smith has been getting a lot of goal line touches as well. Been using that passing game. I'm not a fan of Tevin Coleman this week going against that big, imposing defensive front for the Skins.
Yeah, everyone's high on Coleman because he had such a great week last week, but you got to remember, he only touched the ball 6 times. And that's something that you probably are going to see less against Baltimore. And even if he does get some kind of flat pass where he might be able to excel or some kind of screen pass, Tremel Edmonds is going to kill him. And it's going to be absolutely fantastic. Yes, and it's going to be he's going to get charged for manslaughter on the field. It's going to be great. Like you said, Trey Cohen, look for him to have more what his week 1 through 3 type season has been, which is between 5 and 8 points.
My pick is going to be one Ezekiel Elliott. The Dallas Cowboys are coming off a bye, and they're facing the Tennessee Titans. Titans are pretty good against the run. You look at his Week 7 game, obviously, he had only 6.2 points, 15 carries. The week before against Jacksonville had a good game, 18 points. The week before that, 15. But he's only broken that 20-point mark once, and that was in week number 4. And facing the Tennessee Titans, that's kind of that's a tough defense, like I said. And I'm trying to pull up the numbers that they have. Hold on one sec. There it is. Last week, week 7, because they were on a bye last week against the Chargers. Gave up only 14 points. The week before that, 26 to Baltimore, obviously. But really, you look at some of the other numbers, 15, 12, 19, 19. I think that Dallas kind of same thing. They have a new toy at the wide receiver position. I think they're going to try to get Amari Cooper involved and kind of just prove like why they made that trade. Now, theoretically, that should open up some runs and some holes for Zeke Elliott, but
it's week 1.
I just don't think it's going to happen.
Yeah, it's week 1 for the Playground team. I don't see, like we were saying, I just don't see it happening.
I won't be starting Zeke in any daily leagues. One thing I'm really intrigued about this matchup. It's not really sexy at all. I really want to see how good Tennessee's defense is. They haven't really faced a good running back all year.
And beyond that, they haven't faced a good running back all year. They've given up over 100 yards rushing in 4 of their 7 games. So I actually, Zeke was my kind of secret pick of that's who I'm starting. I think Monday night, coming off of the bye with the new Amari weapon, I think that Zeke is going to have a big day. Michael.
My guy is actually one James Conner. If you look what
James Conner?
James Conner. If you look what he
sit or temper.
I would do both.
Well, that's not an answer.
If you look what he did week 4 against the Baltimore Ravens, he put up about 7 points. Baltimore Ravens know that the Pittsburgh Steelers have a great offensive line, so they're going to load the box and make Pittsburgh beat them through the air. And they also kept the only reason James Conner, he only had 19 yards for that game, so the only reason he had around 7 points is because he caught some passes out of the back. Mm-hmm. Look for something very, very similar, especially in Baltimore. He's not going to be putting up a 30-point game like he has been the last 2 or 3 weeks. Baltimore knows this team. They know how to try to beat this team, and they're going to do it by loading the box like they have been. It's also a great defense all around.
Do not hate it at all, Michael.
I like it. For him to hit value in daily, he'll need 22 points. I don't think he's going to do that against the Ravens. Good
Josh,
call, Mike.
anything?
No, I hate it. I love James Conner this week.
Tight end must start. Mike?
Wide receiver.
Wide receiver, Tim.
Okay, we can go wide receiver first. That's fine. I was going to go tight end first.
Why? We've
Why not?
never done that before.
I was spicing things up.
Terrible.
All right, we'll go wide receiver first,
The
Mike.
snake's all messed up, too. I don't know
Dude,
how
it's
he did that up.
it's the true MVP of this league. Adam Thielen. He's going to get another 100 yards. He's going to get another touchdown. He's going to put another 20 points on the board. And there's nothing you can say that's going to prove me wrong. Because it's going to happen.
Nothing that'll change my mind. No, I agree with you, Mike. I think he's going to have a big game. I have
God I got to go
Thielen
first.
on 3 out of my 4 fantasy teams I have going on, and he's a monster. So, but definitely over 100 yards. I don't think a touchdown, though.
Remember when I made fun of Tim for picking Gurley? Like, that's what I'm going to do to you. Cause pick the number 1 wide receiver in football.
I'm sorry. I have someone has to support Adam
Bravo.
Thielen in this. You know, nobody's doing it.
Yeah, no, good pick, Mike.
We've
Big
been,
read,
like,
man.
S-ing his D the last, 4 weeks, so I don't know what you're saying.
I know. I was making. I'm trying
A
to
big reach for Mike. I don't know how you did that, but
You also put me in a spot.
Josh.
Like, hey, you want to
My must start is going to be Jarvis Landry.
Nice, love
facing
it.
the Kansas
God.
City Chiefs.
Love it.
Chiefs defense has not been the greatest in the secondary. You have a new play caller, new offensive coach, new offensive mind. I think they're going to come out and try to air that ball out. Let Baker Mayfield do what he does best, and that is a lot of play action stuff. I think we're going to see a lot of Baker in the shotgun formation, which is what he should be in. And I think the one that's going to benefit is going to be Callaway and obviously Jarvis Landry.
I love it. I think there's going to be more points scored on the Browns end than people are expecting. It's going to be a closer game. I just have high hopes for what's going on in Cleveland.
Josh, while I'm surprised you didn't go with DeAndre Hopkins or Antonio Brown, I love it. Good pick. Tom.
I'm going to go with Mr. Cortland Sutton. $3,900 on DraftKings.
Yeah.
I think he's going to be like the chalkiest play. You're just going to put him in your lineup. Super good value. You got to look what's been going on. Denver, he's been playing limited snaps there, mainly because him and Demaryius Thomas pretty much had the same role in that offense. Demaryius Thomas is now gone, so he should be getting close to 100% snap rate. He's going to run the most routes he's ever ran. He'll probably get the most targets. So all you need him to do is score you 12 fantasy points in a full PPR league, and you're going to hit value. It's a lock. I think it's a lock that he has that. I expect him to hopefully get some more red zone looks as well. But I think Cortland Sutton and the Broncos, they're excited for what they have in the future with him.
I find it very interesting. It seems like pretty much everywhere, Sutton's been getting more love than one Emmanuel Sanders. I know that it's because Sutton's taking over the Thomas role, but Sanders is more of the established, obviously, wide receiver. So
He's still going to eat, for sure.
I don't hate it at all. I agree with what you're saying. But yeah, I'm just surprised Sanders isn't getting more love. Anyone? Bueller? No,
I like Sutton. I think he's going to perfectly slide right into that Demaryius Thomas role. They drafted him pretty much to replace Demaryius Thomas, not this year, but next year. And you know what? They moved it up a little bit, so it is what it is. And I think Sutton will just be fine this week. I think he's a must start as if you're hurting at wide receiver 3 or flex, by all means, plug him in.
Probably the number 1 overall waiver claim this week.
Oh, yeah, it has to be.
Yeah.
My guy is going to be one Bob Woods. Cooper Kupp's back. Rams have a big game at New Orleans. Potentially is a shootout. And Bob Woods has just been hot. Last week was only his second week under 10 points. Still had 9.5. Has had 5 receptions or more in every game outside of week 1. And I just feel like with the weapons that they have there with Todd Gurley, he's going to find a way to have 5, 6, 7, 8 receptions, close to 75 yards, and potentially a touchdown. Just don't see how you can steer away from starting one Robert Woods.
Yeah, if it wasn't for Jair Alexander and the Green Bay Packers breaking out 5 passes, he would have had, obviously, 5 more catches and a ton more yards. New Orleans Saints on the other side have given up points. In Week 3 against the Atlanta Falcons, when Calvin Ridley went off, they gave up 4 touchdowns. Week 1 against Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they gave up 4 touchdowns. Last week, they gave up to the Minnesota Vikings. They gave up 2 touchdowns. Look for that to continue, especially against the Rams, who are not only going to be able to run the ball against this team, but they're going to be able to pass the ball against this team.
Moving on to our temper your expectations, I will start. I'm going to go with someone a little bit that you'd be surprised, but I'm going to say Antonio Brown. Temper those expectations. I said previously that I think that the Ravens are going to be focused on shutting down James Conner and focusing on Antonio Brown. I said that Juju Smith-Schuster was going to be the guy to own on that offense. Temper those expectations on Antonio Brown. He'll still have about 50 yards. He might have 4 or 5 receptions. He's still going to get his, but not that big Antonio Brown type of day you would expect. Juju Smith-Schuster is the fantasy man to own on this offense here in Week 9.
I don't hate it. It's a tough matchup. They know each other well. Hasn't always played great against Baltimore. I think he's one of the top price wide receivers again, as he should be. There's no way I'm paying up for him this week.
Nope.
That's Baltimore's defense is a monstrous defense, and it's tough. But I kind of agree with that. But that's kind of why I don't like Mike's temper your expectations on James Conner. I think they're going to run the ball.
Yeah, if you look at Pittsburgh versus Baltimore last time, Baltimore only gave up 18 receptions for 164 yards and a touchdown. Through the entire wide receiver core, that's 31 points. So saying that Antonio Brown is going to get blanketed is absolutely correct, and they're going to let it go underneath to other people.
Tom?
I'm going to go with Mr. Josh Gordon, the Patriots. 6,500 on DraftKings, so he's going to have to get close to 20 points to earn his value. I just don't think he's going to do that. The Packers right now allowing the 9th least amount of yards per route run for wide receiver. It's a pretty good stat. I'm expecting Jair to line up a lot on Josh Gordon as well, and I think if Jair Alexander does that, I think he could do a good job shutting him down. And normally Bill Belichick, if you do that, you're putting your best defensive player in him. He's just going to ignore him and attack the other weaknesses of your defense, and I think that'll be with targeting James White, Julian Edelman in the slot.
Julian Edelman, you got it.
I really think that's how the Patriots will attack this Green Bay defense, and I'm staying away completely from Josh Gordon this week. Plus, he's been a knucklehead last week. We could see his usage go down a little bit as well, but not a big fan of him this week.
Yeah, who knows what
Patriots.
he could show up late again or whatever. They could bench him. Who knows? I agree with you on that, Tom.
Yep, good one.
Josh?
My wide receiver, obviously the newly traded Golden Tate. Where did he go to?
Philadelphia.
Philly. Obviously, he's on bye, so you're not going to be worrying about him.
I was ready to torch you.
Don't start him.
I was ready.
No. Obviously, Stephon Diggs facing the Detroit Lions. I was looking at the Lions and I saw Tate there. That's
It
why.
made me nervous.
The Detroit Lions are number 7 against the pass against wide receivers. They're doing pretty well against the so-called big name wideouts that are on that team. But with the Vikings, they have 2 wide receivers on that team. They got Adam Thielen and they have Stephon Diggs. I think they're going to shut down Diggs. I think they're going to try to shut down Adam Thielen. They're not going to be able to, and I think Diggs is going to have a game not like he has had in the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, Diggs has definitely been the more boomer bust player. He kind of boomed last week. I don't think he's going to boom again this week.
Yeah, you look at trying to put consistency in the board, and one thing that he's had is it's about a 15-point game. So last week he was around 22 points, playing a division rival, Detroit Lions. Even though it's at home, I see exactly what you're saying. I just don't see everything playing out very well for that player. And actually, on the flip side is my pick, Marvin Jones Jr. Marvin Jones Jr. had 27 points last week. They got rid of Golden Tate, so he's clearly the guy. And Minnesota's going to key in on that now. You are giving up on the season, And thank you for letting me put a safety over top, and we're going to make sure that he can't catch more than 4 balls.
It's very interesting. I don't hate it. I don't know if I agree, but I don't hate it. I agree with
like Marvin this week.
the temper your
I like Kenny
expectations.
Galladay a little
The
bit.
temper, right.
The temper.
Last week he had 27 points, and he's not going to have that. He's going to be more around your 10 to 15.
We will now go to tight end, because apparently now is the appropriate time to go to tight end. Mike, you can start.
Temper. I
Yeah, we
wish.
start?
Nope.
Yeah,
no.
Josh, if you could. because
Who are you starting?
I'm trying
Josh,
to,
go ahead.
I'm trying to get my list. Your computer sucks.
It's on dial-up. No, anyone? Does anyone?
Yes, I got one.
All right, Tom, go ahead.
I'm going to go with Mr. O.J. Howard of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Since week 6, he's tied for 5th in fantasy points per game for tight end. He's been a touchdown threat for this team. He's been a true field stretcher, and I think he's clearly carved out a role to be the number 1 tight end in Tampa. You got Fitzmagic back at quarterback. He likes O.J. Howard. He's going to target him. He's going to air the football out, show no fear. Panthers are the worst team against tight ends in the NFL. So I think if you have Howard, it's a must start. He's pretty cheap on DraftKings, only $4,300, so you're not breaking the bank for a guy that has potential to be the number 1 tight end in football this week. I think he's a must start.
Yeah, if you look at week 3, which Fitzmagic did start, not playing Carolina, but Carolina gave up 9 catches, 109 yards, and a touchdown to tight ends. That is something that absolutely can continue with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers against Carolina. Look for them being able to give up the middle of the field. O.J. Howard has a great game.
Tom, I love it. Only 2 weeks this year have the Panthers not given up double digits to tight ends. Love the pick. I will go next. I'm going to go with one George Kittle. Thursday night football. No one likes Thursday night. At least I don't. Thursday night against Oakland. Oakland is pretty atrocious as well. I know that that my boy C.J. Beathard is out of the game. They're gonna have Kellen Clemens. Is that what you said, Josh? Starting at quarterback.
No, it's not him.
Yeah, it's a made up quarterback. It may as well.
It could be anybody.
That's my point. Is it doesn't really matter. They have a nobody at quarterback. The Raiders have given up quite a bit of points, including last week in Indianapolis. At home, they gave up 36.3 points against Indy.
Kyle Shanahan's smart. He's going to be watching that tape.
Yep.
And look how the Colts attack that secondary and that defense. That's what they need to do, and just have George Kittle be the feature part of that offense.
Marquise Goodwin and George Kittle both having big days for the 49ers.
I'm going to go with tight end Jordan Reed. Talked about him in the previous episode. Facing the Atlanta Falcons. Falcons have given up 7 points. Their last game in week 7, 26 to Tampa Bay tight ends in week number 6, then 7, 15, 14. So they're about middle of the pack in the defense against tight ends department. But I like Jordan Reed this week. I think he's a sneaky play, especially coming off of bye week. Should be a little bit more healthy. Should be ready to go.
Mike?
Love it. It's a great pick. There's not much I can say against it. Jordan Reed has been a monster. Atlanta loves to give up points to tight ends over the middle of the field. If you get any sort of red zone, look for that red zone play where the quarterback scrambles to the left and throws it back to the middle of the field, deep over the goalposts.
Who are you taking for your must start?
Must start Jimmy Graham against New England Patriots. New England Patriots are ranked. Are ranked 27th against tight ends. Last week they gave up 7 to Buffalo. That's kind of expected because they only scored 6 total points. But the week before that against Chicago, pretty much Burton by himself put up 9 receptions, 126 yards, and 1 touchdown. Look for something like that to continue. Indianapolis Colts, something when they were struggling week 5, put up on tight ends alone 12 catches, 149, and 3 touchdowns. The Patriots are prone to stuff like this, and that's why they're ranked number 27 against tight ends.
I see your point, but you have to remember week number 5, they gave up the Patriots defense gave up 12 receptions, 149 yards, and 3 touchdowns for 44.9 points. That is a huge chunk
Kind of
of
skewing it.
the numbers right there, Michael. But I do understand the last couple of games that they have given up. Me personally, I see Jimmy Graham more of like the 8 to 12 range. I could see 4 or 5 catches for about 60 yards.
All right, let's move on to our temper your expectations for the week. Mike, you do not seem ready, so I'm going to go back to Tom.
Yeah, it's kind of tough with tight ends, in all honesty. There's really only 12 or 13 startable tight ends on a weekly basis, but I'm going to pick the big guy, man. I went to him last week, and he struggled. Mr. Rob Gronkowski, 6,300 on DraftKings. Going to need to score 19 points to be worth that price tag. I just don't see it happening. He's kind of due for a big game. He hasn't scored since week 1, but the Packers are the 7th best defense against tight ends in the NFL. I know they just lost Clinton Dix, who's was a big part of that.
He pretty much covered the tight ends.
But Gronk, just watching him on film, he doesn't look right. He looks slow. He looks lethargic. He does not look like that badass Gronk that we're used to. And Patriots, they have a ton of other weapons. James White and Julian Edelman have just been target hogs, and I think that's going to continue this week.
Tom, I love it. I agree completely. He's running down the field like the Tin Man from The Wizard of Oz. I am going to go with one Trey Burton. I just feel like with what Buffalo's going to do on the defensive side of the ball, it's to shut down Mitchell Trubisky and shut down, more importantly, his safety net, which is Trey Burton. You saw when he got in trouble at times in New England, I should say at home against New England, Trey Burton was the guy to go to. You didn't see much from him last week against the New York Jets. I feel like the Buffalo Bills are going to mirror that in Buffalo this week. More of the running game, more of the big plays. Trey Burton is not going to be a start this week for me.
Edmonds is going to break this game. Again, I see this to be I've
Bills are not going to win, Mike.
No. I absolutely agree with you there. But
I hate the Bears so much.
No, I absolutely agree. This is a Bears win. I said in our pick'ems. But this is a 69 type ball game. 69 type ball game. And that's what it's going to be. There's just going to be a lot of people on the ground. All of a sudden there's going to be fog on the field and you're not going to be able to see. This is just that type of ball game, okay?
The fans bust out the fog machine.
Mike is nervous about dildos, fog, and hamstrings for the Buffalo Chicago game.
Dildos.
I am so glad you're back. Do either of you idiots have a?
I have one. Yeah. So my temper your expectation is Jimmy Graham.
What?
Didn't you say?
Yeah.
You can't do that.
No, I am doing it because
makes no sense.
No, it doesn't.
Wait, wasn't he going to start?
Yes.
Yes, and I have built this the whole time. He's your boomer bust. You ready? I'm back.
You can't tell
you guys
people
can kick me off the show. It doesn't matter. I'll be back in 10 weeks.
You can't tell people to start them and then tell them to like.
No, and I want to give. This is exactly my opinion. I'm just giving you feelings, right? My opinion doesn't matter on this show.
I was confused on what was going on because you kept looking at me like you wanted to stop the show. And I was just like, all right.
So the Patriots are 27th against against tight ends. However,
just covered this.
It's the best show ever.
That's why I told Josh to stop. He is really a boomer bust guy. And I didn't want to take all your people because tight ends are tough people to take. They are tough to people to predict. Tough. I know. But Jimmy Graham is either going to have a really great day. Last week he was he missed a touchdown by inches, which would have made him a starting tight end in the league versus a guy that got one reception. This upcoming week, he's either going to have one catch for 9 yards like Miami did in week 4. Or he's going to have 12 catches for 149s for 40 points. We don't know.
Josh, do you have a...
Jared Cook. He's facing the San Francisco 49ers this week. San Francisco, this past week, gave up 6.4 points to tight ends. Ricky Seals-Jones on 5 catches, 35 yards. And the week before to the Rams, obviously not a very good tight end team, but 1 catch for -5 yards for 0.5. So pretty good against the tight ends the last couple of weeks. So Jared Cook, he's on my sit list.
This is my new favorite episode. The fact that we've never had
we have one more after this.
We never had someone say that a must start and temper your expectations. I've done a lot of
Good
dumb-
way to do it. He's gonna hit 50% of the time.
50% of the time, it works all the
Oh
time.
my goodness
Back
gracious!
500.
He ran off to pee after that
As he should have.
that expert analysis
head in the toilet.
from one Michael Agent. Man, I love that guy. That's how we're gonna end the show. We're gonna end it with a ballsy move by one Michael Agent. We are Pony Keg Sports. Make sure you follow us on Facebook at Pony Keg Sports. Follow Josh on Twitter at Pony Keg Sports. Follow Mike on Twitter at Michael R. Agent if you want a 50-50 pick from him where he plays both sides. Follow Tom at Pony_Keg_Tom. And you can follow me at Fight Talk Tim. We have one more episode coming up where we break down all the trades that happened, who won, who lost, and who should have probably made a trade. That's coming up here shortly. Make sure to stay tuned. Until next time, peace. We're out of here.